Come round by my side, and I'll sing you a song. I'll sing it so softly it'll do no one wrong. On Birmingham Sunday the blood ran like wine, and the choir kept singing of freedom.
At 10:22 a.m. on September 15, 1963, the 16th Street Baptist Church was attacked with a homemade bomb made of dynamite.
This attack resulted in the deaths of 4 little girls and 14 injuries.
That Sunday morning was like any other, and the church members were attending Sunday school class prior to the 11 o'clock service.
The 4 little girls, Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Cynthia Wesley, and Carol Robertson, were getting ready in the church basement and were later found under piles of debris.
Birmingham, Alabama, often referred to as Bombingham, was known for being a significant supporter of the civil rights movement. When Carolyn McKinstry, a survivor of the bombing, was interviewed in 2013, she revealed, "Sometimes I would tell people that bombing was a way of life in Birmingham."
The 16th Street Baptist Church was known to hold numerous meetings led by leaders of the civil rights movement.
This support made the church a target to racial supremacist groups like the KKK.
Following the bombing, violence broke out and the civil rights movement was stronger than ever.
Finally, in 1977, a trial was held for the bombing and former KKK member Robert E. Chambliss was convicted of murder. Years later, the case was reopened and other former KKK members, Thomas Blanton and Bobby Frank Cherry, were put on trial.
It has been written that your daughter's death was the seminal moment at the beginning of the civil rights movement. Your daughter, had she lived, would be 46
this November.
Do you feel that her purpose in life while she was here was to get us to that moment of starting a civil rights movement?
I think that might be being too prophetic to say that. I think it got us to that point. On the other side of your question, though, it is very disgusting when I think about her death and the fact that she was a young Afro-American, and I see African Americans killing one another at the rate that they are doing it these days. It's a travesty in reverse.
Speaking of the bombing's effect on the civil rights movement, Claude A. Wesley, Cynthia Wesley's father, explains, "This is how I feel. This thing that engulfed our child and others is worldwide. Many are involved in this social change."
Why was there not a violent response? Well, I mean, there was some violence in Birmingham in the immediate aftermath, understandably so. But, Martin Luther King was a man of principle, and he stuck with his guns of nonviolent passive resistance, which in my opinion is more powerful than a violent backlash. Again, that's a way to really attract people to your message. When you're responding to ignorance and violence, the worst possible type of violence against innocence, with peaceful, principled protest, it doesn't get much more powerful than that, in my opinion.
Were the perpetrators ever brought to justice?
Yeah, they were. It took some time. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, had information about the Klan members who were responsible, but as you're probably learning, J. Edgar Hoover, besides wearing dresses, was not a big fan of Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement. So he sat on a lot of stuff. But 15 years later, the federal attorneys in Alabama did open the case. And eventually, I think the ringleader was imprisoned and died shortly thereafter. And eventually, I think 4 people, members of the Klan, were brought to justice and served life sentences. I think the 16th Street church bombing was a galvanizing moment for the civil rights movement. I don't think it's coincidental that within a year you've got the Civil Rights Act and then the Voting Rights Act. I think when Americans see young children being martyred for a cause, I think that has an emotional impact that all the speeches and marches can't equate with.